Thank you, Congresswoman. The reason this is even an issue is that it's embarrassing we funded the lab. If we had not funded the lab, 100% of Americans would say this is obvious, this is a no-brainer. The epicenter of the world is 5 miles from one of the only high-level virology labs in China. The doctors initially were arrested and forced to sign non-disclosure gag documents. The lab reports have been destroyed. They've not been turned over. The sequences reported from the lab to the NIH database were deleted by a request from Chinese scientists that called over early on and said, delete those sequences we put in the database. And 2 leading virologists, maybe the 2 top virologists in the United States, Dr. Michael Farzan from Scripps and Dr. Robert Gary from Tulane, told Dr. Fauci on his emergency call in January of 2020 when he was scrambling soon after learning that the NIH was funding the lab, they both said that it was likely from the lab. Both scientists changed their tunes days later in the media, and then both scientists received $9 million subsequent in funding from the NIH. It's a no-brainer that it came from the lab. I mean, at this point, it's impossible to acquire any more information, and if you did, it would only be affirmative.
So when I asked the NIH director about this, and he said there's no way that it could have been coronavirus 2 that was being funded from the lab, and he said it's like comparing a human to a cow because of the sequence. But then I asked, well, how do you know that? Because we didn't get the data from China. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, we didn't get the data, so how does he know that it's not coronavirus 2?
There's no way he could have known. There's no way he could have known the answer to that question,
All
especially
right.
since the Chinese lab didn't release the data.